What up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Today's topic is going to be about meditation. And meditation has been something that's been really big in my life. And so I'm just going to kind of talk about how it's affected me, what it's done to me, and how you can implement it into your life. So let's go. So I would say that I've been a serious meditator for probably about 3 years now. And when I say serious, what I mean is that I meditate for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. And that's like my practice. And then technically, I should go to a retreat every year. They're called Vipassana meditation retreats. I'll get into that towards the end of the video, but that is personally my own practice. When I started meditation, I found it in like a very odd way. Someone just kind of gave me a book about Buddhism, and then I just kind of read into it. And you hear about meditation, but at the time I was like 17, 18 years old, so I kind of started meditating at that point, but I'd only do like maybe like 5, 10 minutes, and it'd be like in my bunk, and it wasn't like anything serious, it was just like me kind of exploring meditation and seeing what it would do. But then as I got older, I kind of realized I had anger issues. So I figured that meditation was kind of like a good way for me to kind of deal with my anger. And so when I first started, like I would do like 5, 10 minutes, and I stayed with that practice for like a really long time. It wasn't like something serious, like me going to the gym every day and like doing 2 hours. It was just like something I would do for fun, and it was very lighthearted. It wasn't like I didn't have like a serious practice, with guidelines and stuff like that. And then when I got started getting more serious about meditation was kind of when I was going through a dark moment in my life. And in this moment of my life, I kind of realized I had no control over my brain and my thoughts. Like the thoughts would just come, and they would just kind of like kick down my door to my house and just kind of they would invite themselves, and they'd come and chill in the house. And I would try to like get them to leave, but they wouldn't leave. Like I had uninvited guests in my head, and I didn't have any control over it. But I didn't know, but I heard how meditation is kind of like helps train the mind to resolve these type of things. And so I was like, okay, I need to start getting more serious about meditation. And that's what I started doing. I started going like from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, from 20 minutes, then 2 20 minutes, then 2 30 minutes, then 2 40 minutes, 2 50 minutes. And eventually I got to an hour, which is dope because my whole life, one of my goals was always to like be like, I want to meditate for an hour. Like that would be dope, like sitting down and meditating for an hour. That seemed like a good goal. And at the time when I had that goal, I only did like 5, 10 minutes. And 10 minutes when you don't do an hour, it can seem like a super long time. So when I got to an hour, I was very like, good job, Ender. You did good. So let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about what meditation is and what meditation is to me. To me, meditation is all about being in the present moment. There's there's a cross-legged like Buddhist, Hindu type of meditation, which definitely has a lot of benefits. But I think there's value in different types of meditation. Like a big type of meditation is walking meditation. And there's other things that people do in life, like that kind of make them get into a meditative state. So it doesn't always have to be about sitting cross-legged and clearing the mind. It's much more, to me, the most important part about meditation is that you are in the present moment, and then when your mind wanders, you come back to the present moment. To me, that's the most important part about meditation, and to me, that's what meditation is. There's some people that like they don't meditate. They It's not that they refuse to meditate. It's just they don't see any value in the practice. But yet they're super calm individuals. A person that I like really enjoy and that I like listening to his podcast is Jocko. He's a Navy SEAL. He's retired now, but he was talking about meditation. He's like, no, I don't meditate at all. Like, no, no way. But when you listen to him talk, and you know that he's got a cool head, because I mean he's been in combat, so obviously you got to stay calm. But even just when he talks, his mannerism is very calm. It's almost like he's like in that meditative state. But he's never meditated. So meditation is not like the only way to become calm and collected and kind of have control of your mind. But for me, it's a great way. One way someone taught me how to think about meditation is like imagine like you're sitting at the side of a street, you know, and there's cars like coming boom, 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 boom. It's like a major highway, you know. These cars are like your thoughts, you know, like because we have so many thoughts in a single day. And then imagine you're the person sitting on the sidewalk and you decide to go chase one of these cars. And so you're sitting on this side of the highway and you start chasing a car. Now what you're doing is you're chasing a thought. Oh fuck. Forgot to take that shit down. Whatever, fuck it. Forgive my dirt and clutter hanging up on the door. But anyway, so you start chasing this car and these are your thoughts, you know? And there's no point in chasing a car because you're never going to catch a car. And so then you decide to come back, you go back to your breath, you come back to the present moment. So now you're back at the side of the highway with all the cars. Now another car goes by. You're like, ooh, I like that car. And so you go chase that car. And that's what we do constantly on a daily basis is we chase cars. We'll be like in this present moment, which is like kind of like home base, you know? And you see a car go by and you go, oh, that car looks nice. And you go chase that car, but that car's a thought, you know? And then you're like, oh, wow. And then you come back and another car goes by and you go, and meditation just kind of makes that whole process less and you become more aware of this process. Some people chase cars all day. They never come back to home base. They just constantly chasing cars, 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 cars. And you're one of these people that constantly chases cars, then I think it's really important that you find a way to ground yourself, and meditation is a great way of grounding yourself. A big thing you hear in meditation is people say, you need to clear your mind, you know? It's like saying, don't think of a big blue elephant. You think of a big blue elephant? Maybe. But it's just it's like a oxymoron, you know? Because if you tell somebody not to do something or not to think about something, they're going to be thinking about something. There's a story actually in the spiritual literature, I guess you could say. But this guy, he like goes to this guru and he's like, hey, like, I want to have powers, you know, I want to like be able to like fly and do all this crazy stuff, you know, I want to be able to levitate and stuff like that. And the guru's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, like I'm positive this is what I want. And so the guru goes, okay, what you need to do, you need to go to the river, jump in every morning at this time, do these chants, do that. And also you need to do that for 10 days. And also for those 10 days, don't think about monkeys. You cannot think about monkeys. The guy goes, that's easy. I'll get that done. And then in 10 days, I'll have my superpowers. And then he goes and he does the river stuff. He does the chanting. But he can't stop not thinking about monkeys. They're like literally invading his mind. And it gets to a point where it becomes so bad, the guy goes to the guru and goes like, okay, I don't care about these superpowers. Just get me to stop thinking about monkeys because I cannot stop thinking about monkeys. And so that was just a storytelling kind of like when you tell somebody to clear the mind, is not really how that works. You know, clearing the mind is a byproduct of meditation and it's a byproduct of becoming aware of your thoughts and patterns, you know? And every time you get caught by a thought, you'll go there and then you'll come back and be like, okay, I got caught by that thought. And then next time you might get caught, but you might get caught for like 1 second less. And, you know, and you just keep working from there. So a clear and calm mind is just a byproduct of meditation. Meditation is truly, it's like the science of the mind. You know, a lot of people, the way they describe meditation is you're peeling an onion, you know, and every single time you get a little deeper in the practice, you're taking one more layer off and you're trying to find the core of who you are as a person. And not so much as a person, but also just like how your mind works and just what makes you tick and what doesn't. A good example of how meditation works is this guy named Ram Dass. His like American name, I guess you could say, was Richard Alpert, and he was a psychologist professor at Harvard. And he got all this stuff like for the American dream, you know, like he got it all. He's a professor at Harvard, all this stuff, and then he realized he wasn't very happy, so he decided. Well, he also started experimenting with psychedelics as well, and eventually he decided to go to India and to like find himself pretty much, or find a guru or something. And then he ended up finding a guru named Maharaji. From what I understand, from what I've read in the books, is Maharaji was like a real deal type of guru. Like he would touch you and you could like go to like astral planes and stuff like that. But anyway, so Ram Dass fell in love with this Maharaji and he became his disciple pretty much, and that's when he went on the spiritual path, you know. And he did this for a while, you know, like he'd live in India, he would like live at the monastery, and he would do all the things, you know, all the things that he was supposed to do, he would be doing it. And he did this for a long, long time. And when he left Harvard in the first place, he actually kind of got kicked out because of the whole psychedelics thing. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% positive. But eventually he started, when he became spiritual and became Ram Dass, he started kind of touring America and giving lectures and stuff like that. And so Harvard wanted to have him for one of the lectures. And so when he came back to Harvard, he gave a lecture and he met an old colleague there. And him and the old colleague hung out and he's like, damn, Ram Dass, like, you haven't changed at all, you know? And it's funny because people think when they go onto the spiritual path, they're going to become serious and calm and just like kind of like a robot. And I mean, some people, it does happen to, you know, some people take it very seriously, but it's also just, you need to kind of realize that it's all part of the process. One thing they say in meditation or like Buddhism or anything is like the goal was not like a goal, but it is kind of a goal because it's like you want to become enlightened. Like that's why a lot of people go down this path is because they want to find enlightenment, whatever that means to them. Like the Buddha just means the awakened one, you know? And what they mean by that is like people they do all these things to try to like kind of become like a spiritual sense of themselves. But at the end, once they become enlightened or get Satori or whatever, they realize that they're like, damn, it was in me all along. I just kind of had to get out of my own way, you know? And I think that's the beautiful thing about spirituality is like you don't have to do anything. It's always been inside of you. You just kind of have to recognize and you have to wake up, you know, you just have to wake up from the delusion, which is hard for sure, but I think people sometimes kind of overhype the whole path and just how difficult it is. It is a difficult path. Any path you choose in life is going to be difficult, but in the end, all you need to do is wake up. You just need to get out of your own way because it's always been inside you from day one. Another thing that Ram Dass talks about is like, because you know how I said earlier, his colleague was like, "Damn, you really didn't change." Like, and Ram Dass is like he did it all. Like he would live in dark caves for weeks. He would fast for days. He would meditate for hours and hours, and he'd go like super intense retreats. You know, like Zen retreats where you like sleep for like or you meditate for 20 hours and you sleep for like 4 hours. And if you like you're not allowed to move while you meditate. And if you even if you like kind of like strain your back a little bit like this, a Zen monk will come to a stick and you need to bow to him, and then he will bow to you, and then he'll hit you with the stick for moving. And like that's the type of shit Ram Dass would do. And so he kind of like he did like he was like a an elite spiritual person, I guess you could say. He just did a lot of shit. But he kind of explained it like this. He's like, when emotions come to me, it's not so much that I'm able to like kind of like push them away as much as I let them come into my house and they can visit, but then they have to leave when I tell them to leave. Whereas before, the emotions would come and they would do whatever they wanted, stay in my house for however long, and I didn't have much control over it. So that's out of all those years of hard work and spiritual discipline, that was the thing that he kind of came out with was he's like, they can come and visit, that my emotions still come and visit me, but when I tell them to leave, they leave, you know? And it's for me, that's like beautiful because I think that's what it's all about. Because you don't want to just suppress all your emotions, be like that serious meditator that doesn't have any emotions because emotions is kind of what makes us human, you know? So we need to kind of honor those emotions in one way or the other. Ram Dass was much farther on the path than I currently am and probably ever will be because I have other things that I like doing as well. But for me personally, a big reason for meditation and one of the biggest like outcomes I've seen is that my anger is definitely not as intense as it was when I was younger. You know, like I used to get angry over stupid shit, like dishes in the sink, and like it wasn't just like angry, it was just like furious, just like what the fuck? Like why didn't they do that, you know? And now obviously I still get like angry about certain things, but I also am able to cultivate a window where I have the option of being like, do I want to engage in this anger or do I not want to? And I mean, I always choose not to engage in the anger, but shit happens. And sometimes you do get sucked into the anger trap, you know, because a part of you wants to be angry, you know? And sometimes if you're not mindful, you won't even realize it. You'll just slip straight into that cycle, you know? Whereas the beauty of like meditation and kind of being aware of your mind is you might get like a second of two, or you're just like, whoa, that's anger. I see you anger, but I don't want to engage with you anger because I don't want to be angry because like being angry is not sexy. There's nothing sexy about being angry. It's like it's not like a disgusting emotion, but it's just an emotion that like when people are angry, you're just like, oh, get away from me. You don't want to be part of that. And so that is like one of the biggest things that I've realized is I'm able to like really notice when certain emotions are coming up for me. It's still like, and even when those emotions come up, you still have to make the choice. Do I engage in this emotion or not? Because part of you wants to engage in the emotion. Maybe your dark side does, and your other side, your more calm side, doesn't want to engage in that emotion. So it's still very easy to get sucked into emotions. There's another story that I read about, and it's from this monk called Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm pretty sure. I just butchered that name, but he's a Vietnamese monk. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he passed away. I'm pretty sure this year actually. So R.I.P. But he was the real deal. He was a great monk, and he would write books, and his books were like so simple, but just so like deep and poetic and profound. Like he's gonna be missed for sure. But he was talking about a story because he had like a monastery and stuff like that, and people would come to learn to meditate. And so this kid came to learn to meditate because most people, we don't start meditating till we're older. Kids very very rarely meditate unless they're like kind of forced into that path. But this kid showed up to his monastery and was like, I want to learn how to meditate. And so he got taught how to meditate because if you go, you'll get taught. And this kid kind of came from an abusive household, and this is in Vietnam. He came from an abusive household. His dad would abuse him violently, and obviously the reason his dad abused him was because he got abused by his dad. And so it's just like this violent cycle that's going down from generation to generation, and no one's aware of it because you monkey see, monkey do. That's what they're doing. But this kid, he starts meditating and he starts seeing this cycle. And so he stops blaming his dad for the violence, and then eventually he finally convinces his dad to start meditating with him. Because when you see someone getting better, especially like if it's your son or someone like you're supposed to be taking care of, that's like motivating because you'll be like, wow, my son's trying to do this, like I want to do this too. So the dad started meditating too, and it brought awareness to his like issues, to his problems, and he was able to kind of break the cycle of violence that he's been perpetuating, and the family's been perpetuating because it's not his fault. He got abused, so he does what he was taught. But meditation, it'll bring awareness to these type of things where you'll be like, this isn't right. Like it doesn't feel right. Like if you meditate long enough, you'll just start feeling things that are just like, this doesn't feel right. Like sometimes I'll be going through like states in my mind or just in my life where I'm just like, oh man, I feel like not depressed, but I have a lot of sloth, which is like laziness. I'm extremely lazy. And in those periods of laziness, I'm usually not meditating very much. But then once I start like being like, okay, and we're like, I'm gonna start getting back on my 2 hours meditating, I'll start doing that, and then shit will just start like popping in my head, being like I'll be like in that lazy state, and then I'll be meditating. My mind's like, Enver, we need to go to the gym after this. Like we need to go to the gym, and it's just like so clear and concise, and it's so simple. It's not even like I have to try to go to the gym. It's like my body's like, because I like kind of like I don't know, cleared my mind. My body's like, Enver, the next step to get out of this is to go to the gym, and it's so obvious and clear, and it's just something that I've noticed in my life. But meditation will just bring awareness to certain cycles. And it'll just be so obvious. You just be like, oh shit, why have I been doing this? This is stupid. I should not be doing this bullshit. Because meditation, when it brings awareness to you, what really is happening is remember the road and you're that person on the side of the road, like you're able to watch your thoughts. And when you're watching your thoughts, you're kind of taking a step back from all the bullshit. And when you take a step back from any situation in life, like whether it's a heated conversation, whether it's an intense situation, or whether you're meditating, when you're able to take a step back, you'll be able to see things from different angles. And when you can see things from different angles, it's life changing because you kind of you left your perspective and you went in a different perspective. And it's just a very powerful tool to have. And we live in the age of information, like information's everywhere. It's it's impossible not to learn. Like if you don't learn, it's because you're trying not to. But it's just great, which is great. But the thing about that is that there's not a lot of silence nowadays in our lives. And I'm no better either. Like when I go to the gym, I have my headphones in and I'm listening to audiobooks because I'm trying to learn while I work out, you know? When when I'm driving, like I'm always trying to optimize my time, which usually means anytime there's silence, in my mind that means like, oh, I could be doing something with the silence, whether it's like learning, doing this, doing that, you know? Even when I'm in the sauna and I'm meditating, you know, like I could be in the sauna just like kind of chilling and relaxing, but I like to go to the sauna and meditate at the same time because you know it's killing two birds with one stone, you know, and it's just like kind of optimizing my time, which is great, you know. It's not a bad thing to optimize your time, but I think it's very important to bring silence into your life and not run away from the silence, especially if silence makes you uncomfortable. Like that's a big red flag that is like, hey, like you need to face some silence. And a great way to bring silence into your life is just don't listen to music when you drive your car, you know, like don't put anything on, just drive in silence, you know, and go from there. And you'll have thoughts pop in because when silence comes in, like the most profound voices that you'll hear in your head are usually the most quietest. And those voices they won't be heard unless your mind is quiet and still. And silence, it you know, in the beginning is gonna be a shit show because if especially if you're not used to silence, like it's just gonna be like your mind's just gonna be spewing at you. But once you get used to the silence, it's gonna get quieter, it's gonna get more calm, and you're gonna be able to start hearing that voice, the voice of your higher self, you know? And it will just give you good advice. It'll give you good insight. You'll learn stuff from it, and it's great. So Rumi, he was a Sufi, which is kind of like the Islam faith, but that's the beautiful thing about all of these traditions. They all have some form of meditation. Like their meditation was dancing, you know, they with those dresses and they'd go in circles. Like that was a form of meditation for them, where they'd go into a trance and you know they would connect with God. But I mean, Rumi was a great poet and he was a very spiritual person. If you want some like great poetry books to read, definitely listen to Rumi. But he has a quote about silence. It says, "Silence is the root of everything. If you spiral into its void, 100 voices will thunder messages you long to hear." That's kind of what I was talking about. Like you need the silence to hear the most profound voices because they're quiet. You know, once you get used to that silence, they'll get louder and louder. But it's hard to hear those voices when you always have shit going through your head. And when you start meditating, you're gonna start, some people call it downloading information from the universe. Some people call it whatever, but you're just gonna start getting better ideas. Like how I was talking, like when I'm like lazy and I start meditating, my mind's like, let's go work out, let's go work out. Because you're just like just for some weird reason, you're starting to connect with something bigger than yourself. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I remember I was reading this one book and it was like kind of like talking about, it was called Awakening the Buddha Within. It's actually a really good book. It's written by a lama, but he's like a Westerner. So there's not a lot of Western lamas, but he was talking about like people that go on retreat and they bring their notebooks and what they do is they'll meditate and then whenever they get a good idea they'll write the good idea in their notebooks. And one of the guys was telling this to his like guru or whatever, like spiritual teacher, and the guy takes the book and hits him on the head. He's like, no, that's not the point of meditation. The point of meditation is to like let things go and to be in the present moment. And I find it funny because in meditation, like when you do start meditating, you do start getting big ideas. But the thing about meditation, it's all about being in the present moment. So meditation is a beautiful tool, but it could also turn into something that not dangerous, but maybe something where you're missing the point of the practice. It's just a story that came into mind. I don't know why. So meditation, like I said, it's a tool. It's a tool to cultivate your mind, to get to know yourself, to understand how the mind works. And it's amazing. It's great. But that being said, meditation isn't everything, you know? Like when people first started meditating, they can't shut up about it, you know, because it feels so good. It feels so good to meditate in the beginning, you know? It's like when people go vegan, they're like, oh my God, I'm a vegan, and it feels so good, you know? They tell all their friends how good they feel as a vegan, and they probably do feel good, and you know they're just saying it because it's helping them and they want to share that love and positivity. It's the same thing in meditation. When people first like when I first started meditating, I was like, bro, like if you could meditate cancer away, you know, like cancer, like if you just meditate you'd be fine, you know, which is not true at all. But what I'm getting at, the point of this whole thing is that meditation is just one piece of the puzzle, you know, like there are a lot of other things in life that matter as well, you know? The mind obviously is one of the most important things because the thought is what creates everything in this world. So it's good to have like a practice that deals with the mind. It doesn't have to be meditation, it could be anything else. But it's also important to realize that there are people that meditate that are fat, and there are people that meditate that are super sick, you know, like, and if meditation was the cure to everything, then these people wouldn't have the problems. But meditation is just the key of the puzzle, you know. You need to look at the body and your mental health as like a whole thing, you know. And meditation may be like a quarter slice of it, maybe even half. Who knows? It's up to you how much you dedicate to it. But just because you meditate doesn't mean you don't have to eat healthy anymore. Doesn't mean that you don't have to find some type of fitness. It doesn't mean that you have to find some type of creative outlet. All those things are important as well. Meditation is just a tool, and it's a very helpful tool, but it's not going to solve every single one of your problems. One of the things that I like about meditation is that meditation and going to the gym are a lot alike, you know? A lot of the philosophies that go into going to the gym and getting swole or fit or whatever your goal is go into meditation as well. You have to do it every single day. Maybe with meditation, you might even have to do it twice a day, you know? It's all about dedication and commitment. And with the thing about the gym is you'll start seeing results after like a couple months, a year, you know, like it takes time. And it's the same thing with meditation. It takes time to start seeing these results. You know, because like I've talked to some people and they'll be like, oh, I have so much anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Like, why don't you try meditating? And they'll be like, oh, I tried that. I tried that for like 2 weeks and it didn't work. It wasn't working for me. And I'm like, bro, 2 weeks? That's it? Like, I don't like dig any deeper because I don't really care, honestly. But the thing about meditation is it takes a long time. And when I first started meditating, the way I thought about meditation was like, I'm going to the mind gym, you know, like I'm getting my mind swole as fuck right now. But there are just a lot of similarities between meditation and going to the gym, or even like working for something hard in life, you know. It takes consistency and just takes discipline, you know, because that's what meditation really brings. It'll bring up consistency and discipline inside your life, which is two great traits to have. But I just remember, like, when I first started meditating, I was like, I'm going to the mind gym and I'm getting my mind swole, you know, like I'm getting my mind swole, and that's what I've been doing, you know. Another thing to be wary about is when you first start meditating, like when you first start going to the gym, it's fun, you know, you enjoy it. You're like, oh, this is great. I love this. This is so nice. But once you start going a little deeper into it, it starts getting a little harder, starts getting a little more boring, and you just have to, at those times is when it's most important to not quit, you know? Because I believe like in beginner's luck. Like when you first start something, it's almost like the universe is like kind of giving you little crumbles, you know, and they're like, "Ooh, like try this path," you know? And after a while, once you're like, "Okay, I like this path," the universe is like takes away the crumbles and be like, "Well, now work for it," you know? And I think that happens with meditation a lot because when you first start meditating, you'll be like, "Wow, I feel so great. I feel peaceful." And for some people it lasts. But like I know for me, there was a lot of times where I was just like, I'm just meditating to meditate, you know, because I just know I need to keep doing this shit. And it's just important to like don't quit once it starts getting a little boring, you know, because you don't want to quit. I was listening to this one monk talk about meditation, and the way he described it is like meditation is like showering for your mind, you know, like you shower your mind when you meditate. You kind of do a little mental hygiene. And I mean, just like think about it. How many showers do you take in a week, you know? Maybe 6, 7, you know? You might shower every single day, you know? And that's great, you know, you're taking care of your physical body, but you know, what do you do to shower your mind? You know, do you have any practice to shower your mind, you know? Because mental hygiene is as important as physical hygiene. Like physical hygiene is important for sure. If you don't do it, you could get like a staph infection or something, but mental hygiene is just as important because if you don't do mental hygiene, you might start developing anxiety and like these weird things, and you're like, why is this happening to me? And it's because you don't have a practice to like kind of shit to like sift through the shit, you know? Because in our society where we live, like it's wild, it's crazy. We got crazy stuff going on all the time, you know? And if you don't find a way to like mentally hygiene, it's gonna catch up with you. And meditation is just a great way to like mentally hygiene yourself. And I'm just reiterating what I said earlier, but the biggest thing about meditation is just staying in the moment, you know? And when I say meditation, it doesn't just mean like sitting cross-legged. Like that's great for sure, and it's very powerful practice. But like some people will draw, you know, and they'll draw and they'll just lose track of time. It's because they're in the moment, and that's a form of meditation. People go to the gym and they just get lost in the weights. That's a form of meditation. Some For me personally, when I go to the MMA gym and I'm hitting pads, I'll get lost, and like it's just like I'm so in the moment because you have to be. Honestly, when you're doing those type of sports, you have to be in the moment because you might get punched in the face. But it's still like it brings you to that present moment, and that's the most important thing about meditation. Even going on a walk in nature is a huge type of meditation practice. Like walking meditation actually is really big in the spiritual world, and it's a very potent practice. And just remember to always stay in the moment, and whenever the mind drifts, always bring it back. And then it'll drift and you bring it back. Drift, bring it back. And that's what you do, and that's how you develop a practice. It's very simple. So like I said earlier, why I started meditation was because I was in a dark moment in my life and I realized that meditation was kind of the only thing that would not get me out of it, but I knew it was gonna kind of build some walls for my mind so I could be a little more strong with my mind and my thoughts. And it worked. Like when I was doing it those times, like I felt like meditation was my only time where I felt safe. It felt like I could nurture myself more and I could just kind of like be more open for those like 30 minutes a day or however long I was doing it at that time. Like those 30 minutes was like the most beautiful time. And then the other whatever amount of hours during the day, I'd have all these thoughts crashing my head, and it sucked. And meditation really got me through it. But what I'm getting at, the point, is that when stuff starts getting easy again, your life starts getting better, don't quit on meditation. Like a lot of people, they only ask for help when they need it the most. But which is good. Honestly, that's a good way. But what I'm trying to get at is like people only call the police. People only like the police when there's a crime happening to them. All the other times of the day, they're like fuck the police. But you just don't want to. You don't want to be that person that only calls for things when it's the most dire situation. And what I'm getting at is you don't want to quit meditation when things are good. Because like a lot of people pray to God when things are going bad, but then when things are good again, they stop praying to God. And it's not the philosophy of meditation. Meditation is all about consistency, and that consistency should apply to all areas of your life, including just like how you kind of conduct yourself. You want to conduct yourself in a consistent type of way. Just don't quit meditation when things start getting easy or when things are nice in your life. Like just stay with the practice because it's just going to make you stronger, and then next time when shit hits the fan, you'll be much more able to deal with your problems, and it won't be as bad. All right, so how do we start a practice? I think the most important thing to starting a practice is like picking a time during the day and be like morning or night. I highly recommend the morning and night because like when you wake up and you meditate, you're kind of creating intention to start the day a certain way. When you go to sleep and you meditate right before, I feel like that's when you're kind of starting to do that shower hygiene, the mental hygiene. So you need to pick times. One is perfectly fine, but if you want to do two, if you want to be a G, you should do two. And then the next step is to pick how long do you want to meditate for. I highly recommend just start with 5 minutes. Like, don't get crazy about it. Just do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. I mean, if you just want, just do 5 minutes in the morning. It's not that big of a deal. Just set a timer and just do 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is a great starting place. And then when you're doing the meditation, all you have to do is just focus on your breath. Like breathe in, breathe out. Don't control your breath. Let your breath be natural, which I know is kind of hard because once you start thinking about the breath, you start controlling it, but just really breathe in and breathe out. And then if you want to get a little more advanced, think about when you breathe in, you can feel the air hit your nostrils. Feel the sensations on your nostrils and in your nostrils. And when you breathe out, you can feel like do it right now. You can feel the air hit the top of your lip and like right here. And this is it's called Anapada meditation, but it's like breath meditation. But and feel the sensations in and then feel the sensations out. And since we're working on this small area right here, what it's doing is it's sharpening your mind to feel smaller and smaller sensations. Because eventually, once you start getting into deep practice, you can start like I can feel the sensations in my pinkies. I can feel the sensations in my thumbs. I can feel the sensations in my little toe right now, you know? But it all started because I started meditating and I started focusing on how the air would, I could like feel the air hit my nose and out. And don't control your breath. Just feel the sensations. If you don't feel the sensations, it's totally okay. You will eventually, but just, and if you really can't feel your sensation, go, and you can feel the air hit your lips, you know? And that's just a great way to start meditating. Just don't control your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. If you want to be more advanced, start focusing on the sensations around there. 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's all it takes. And then if you really start liking it, and give it time, don't give it 2 weeks, don't give it 3 weeks, give it like a couple months, you know? Because if you're doing 5, 10 minutes, like imagine if you did 5, 10 minutes of working out every single day, how long would it take you to see results? It'd probably take you a long time, you know? It's the same thing with meditation. 5, 10 minutes isn't a lot. It's enough, but it's not a lot. So the results will come slowly. When you're starting to begin, I know a lot of people probably won't, but some people will. They'll try like David Goggins this shit, you know. They'll be like, I'm gonna do an hour straight out the gate, you know. And hey, I mean, if you want to do that, go for it, because all power to you. But the only thing is, you don't want meditation to become like a pain Olympics type of situation, because it can for sure, especially once you start getting deep in your practice. Because once you start getting deeper, they tell you, okay, now you meditate, you're not allowed to move. And when you're not allowed to move, shit gets real really quick. Especially after minute 45, the sensations are painful. Like, especially if you're unflexible like me, like you start feeling it for sure. When that kind of things happen, it's almost like you're not meditating as much and you're just much more just kind of like pushing through the pain, which is fine, especially like once you get deeper in your practice. But in the beginning, like all you're trying to do is set a good foundation, you know? All you want to do is set a good foundation. And if you do an hour, it's going to be pretty torturous, you know, especially if you're not used to being with your mind. Like it's going to be tough, and it might kind of throw you off of meditation and you might not like it because you went too hard in the beginning, you know. It's like it would be like the equivalent of never running. You're not a runner and you sign up for a marathon and you go do a marathon. You probably will never do a marathon ever again because it was brutal. I think it's 32 miles, something like that. Like that's a long thing to do for someone who doesn't run, you know. You could David Goggins it, and it might make you a better person. But for most people, when you first start, just take it easy. Do 5 to 10 minutes, once or twice a day. I highly recommend twice, but and just keep it simple, you know. So if you're like interested in meditation, I guess I have like my own practice, so I don't like use apps or anything like that. But when I first started, I didn't have any apps. Well, I just didn't have any guidance, you know. So I had to like try to really figure out meditation for myself. And meditation has been around for thousands of years, so there's a lot of literature about meditation. So it can get very confusing, and there's just a lot of things that you kind of have to go through. And so what I would say for if you're first starting out, I'm just gonna give you some apps, you know. So the first app that I have is Insight Timer. Yeah, it's called Insight Timer. You just type in meditation app on whatever store you have, it'll probably pop up. But it's called Insight Timer, and it honestly has a lot of great different types of meditation techniques, and they kind of explain it. Another good one is by this dude named Sam Smith, who's kind of like a big Westerner meditation type of dude, but he his app is called Headspace, and that's also a really good app. They have like nice voices. I'm pretty sure they use British voices, and it's soothing, you know. Like guided meditations are totally cool, you know. Like once you develop a practice and you do that practice, you should stay with that practice. But in the beginning, like it helps to have guidance during meditation, you know, because sometimes you get lost in thoughts, and then the voice will bring you back, be like, "Hey, remember when we were being mindful?" You know, and it kind of brings you back. So there's nothing wrong with guided meditation. It's not like cheating or anything like that, but and it helps especially in the beginning. Like guided meditations help a lot in the beginning. And then my last resource that I would recommend to people is this thing called Daily Om. It's like Om. It's called Daily Om. It's a website, and this is kind of like a holistic website where they tried like giving a bunch of different types of ways of healing yourself, but they have meditation courses. And I took one of the meditation courses there. It's like a 50-day meditation course, and when you buy these courses, it's like You can either pay $15, $30, or $45. I'm pretty sure last time I checked. It's like it's a sliding scale model. Like I think that's what they call it. But it's one of those. So it's really nice because I've only paid $15 for all my courses. And $15 for a 50-day meditation course is not bad at all. And with that meditation course, they you get to do a different bunch of different types of methods, and it's guided. You get to really explore meditation. It's cheap, and it's like they're good teachers, they're good meditation teachers, because it's important to have a good meditation teacher. It really kind of it can either make you want to meditate or make you not want to meditate. So you've been meditating for a while, and you're like, how do I make my practice deeper? How do I start going onto the next level of meditation? Next level meditation is to start going on retreats. And there's a lot of different types of retreats out there. The ones that I'm going to, I actually have one set up in February. I'm super excited. It's been a long time since I've gone on retreat because I was living in Denver and it was just chaotic. And I honestly got pretty lost. I still meditated, but I definitely swayed from the spiritual path a lot. And I feel like being back in a small town has kind of helped me reconnect that connection. But anyway, so I'm going to this, it's called Vipassana meditation, and it's by this dude named S.N. Goenka, who's dead. But there's like so many centers around the world. And the reason I went to that one, why I chose that one, was because I knew when I was getting to my meditation, one thing they talk about is eventually at some point you need a teacher. You need to find a teacher. You need to find someone who's going to teach you. In almost all the books, they talk about it. The Buddha had to find a teacher. Everyone has to find a teacher at some point. It's not like the end goal, but at some point within your path, you need to find a teacher. And I knew I was getting to that point where I needed to find some more guidance. And I kept hearing about Vipassana meditation, like through the podcasts and everything like that. And I was like, huh. And so I looked into it. And a lot of meditation retreats are super expensive. Like, it's definitely like a luxury to go on meditation retreats for a lot of people. But this Vipassana meditation retreat, it's all off donations. So I mean, like you could drop $300 off, and they pay for your food, they pay for your housing, and it's 9 days of silence. It's a 10-day retreat. The last day you get a talk because you need to reintegrate into society. But it's just like all they care about is that you go there and you work hard to meditate. Because if you don't think meditation can be hard, you should go on a retreat. Because that it's like a meditation boot camp. It's pretty intense, and it's not a vacation. Don't think of it as a vacation. There are meditation retreats that are like vacations, but Vipassana by S.N. Goenka is not a vacation. I thought it was. I made that mistake. Do not make that mistake. But I love it. Like I truly love going on retreats, and it's like so nice because when you go on a retreat, you can like the food's paid for. I mean, you don't have to make food. All you have to do is sleep and meditate. And when you're in that state, you don't have to even worry about. You don't even have to talk to other people. Like you don't have to do anything besides meditate. And it's like beautiful because no other time in life will you be able to do that. Because anywhere else you go, you're gonna have to cook for yourself. You're gonna have to talk to people. But here, everything is provided. All they care is that you meditate. If you want to go on a retreat, the Vipassana meditation retreat by S.N. Goenka is definitely a solid choice for sure. Especially if you don't have a lot of money, definitely. So what has meditation done for me? Meditation for me, it's funny because I've been doing it for 3 years, so I don't like. It's hard to see what it's done for me, but if like think back to the past, and I used to be like I used to get angry over the stupidest shit in the world, and some of that comes with age, because as you get older, you don't get angry over stupid things anymore. But a big thing was my meditation, and my meditation kind of made me more calm. Especially like I was able to really see my emotions and really be able to not get overwhelmed by them. Because we all know people, like I work in a restaurant and shit can get real. Like you can get triple sat, a bunch of big tops, and you got to do a bunch of shit really quickly, and it's all like boom, 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 boom. It's very fast paced at times, and if you don't have your shit together, if you're not able to stay calm, it's gonna fuck you over. You're gonna start making mistakes, and once you start making one mistake, you're gonna make a bunch of mistakes. It's just how it is, unless you're able to catch it and calm yourself down. And I find that meditation has been able to calm myself down. And with the whole emotions thing. You can come into my house, you can visit, but you need to leave when I tell you to leave. They're not just going to come uninvited and just crash your house and then leave whenever they want. And so at the end of the day, that's what meditation has done for me. It's just made me more peaceful, more calm, more forgiving, and just more loving, you know? I'm gonna do a meditation with you guys. Let's see how it goes. If you guys want to do it with me, that'd be dope. Since you guys made it to the end of the video, you might as well. It's gonna be real quick though. It's not gonna be a long one. I don't know how long, but all right. Everyone, just calm down. Close your eyes. Take some deep breaths. Start noticing your breath. Is it fast? Is it slow? Don't control it though. If your mind wanders, just bring it back. Ah! I get you. Anyway, that's how you meditate. You don't have to do that last part. That was obviously a joke. But thank you for meditating with me. If you did meditate with me, I love you guys. Thank you for watching my videos. And, stay strong.